In life, we sometimes face certain situations in which such things happen even before our own eyes that we can neither believe nor disbelieve them. How can you believe a thing which is not rational, which your sense of reasoning doesn't allow you to believe? And again, how can you disbelieve it when it happens before your own eyes? You are an eyewitness. You see it before you with your own eyes. Many people say such things happen. There are people, especially those who do not believe in ghosts, and then again they say yes, such things happen, and from that day onwards I started believing in certain invisible things. You become very it becomes very quizzical, very confusing, and you are at a loss what to do, what to believe, and what to think. Such a very interesting story that has a lot of suspense, a lot of curiosity, a lot of questioning, a lot of doubts, and even at the end of the story you will still think only about what happened and whether you should believe it or not. That is what the story is, and the story is The Scarecrow, written by a very well-known Indian man, Satyajit Ray. Satyajit Ray is a name that does not need any introduction. He is one of the top-ranking Indians in the field of world cinema. So, before we go to the story, The Scarecrow, we have a brief introduction of the author and his literary contribution. We are not going to read in detail because you can have it from the textbook. If you speak very briefly, then Satyajit Ray was born in 1921 and died in 1992, and he did his BA in economics from Presidency College, Calcutta, and he studied fine arts in Vishwabharati University, Shantiniketan. His first film, he is a renowned author, a filmmaker, and many a versatile genius he was. His first film, Poter Panchali, which was made in 1955, it bagged 11 international awards. And Ray is perhaps the only filmmaker in the country to have received 32 national film awards, along with quite a few international awards, and in 1991 an honorary Academy Award, popularly known as Oscar Award. And he was also a proud recipient of the Bharat Ratna Award. He was a novelist, a film critic, music composer, a graphic designer, and an immensely skilled writer of short stories. His detective and science fiction stories featuring the sleuth Feluda and the scientist Professor Shanku respectively are widely popular. So he has written science fictions, he has written detective novels. In his detective novel, Feluda is a common character, and in his science fictions, Professor Shanku is often found. And then he had written one autobiography of himself. It was not a complete autobiography, it was about his childhood life. That is called Jokon Chuto Chilam. So then let us start the story. The story's name is The Scarecrow. The Scarecrow is an object that you might have noticed it in fields, in paddy fields or in any other fields where agricultural products are there. In order to chase and frighten birds or crow or insects, people install a structure that looks like a human being. It is made with bamboo poles, and some torn and old shards are put into it so that it gives a look of a human being, and those birds or other insects, that may attack the corn, should be afraid of this human being standing, and they should flee. With this purpose, farmers install scarecrow in the paddy field or in any other field. And see the name, how it is, Scarecrow. It means it is installed, it is constructed in order to scare Crow. In order to scare Crow. Crow here represents all birds or any other insect or anything that might attack the products. So the farmers make it with an intention of scaring the crow. So it is called the Scarecrow. And in Bengali the word is Kaktarua. This story was originally written in Bengali by Satyajit Ray. It was first published in 1987, and the English translation was made by Gopa Majumdar. So this story, the name itself is very interesting. The thing itself is very interesting. Let us start the story then. Mriganko Babu's suspicions were confirmed just as they were about to reach Panagarh. His car ran out of petrol. The petrol gauge had not been functioning properly for quite a while. He had pointed this out to his driver Sudhir before they set out this morning, but Sudhir had paid no attention. There had in fact been less petrol in the tank than the gauge had shown. Mriganko Babu is the major character in the story, and the story begins with Mriganko Babu. The author says that the Mriganko Babu's suspicions were confirmed just as they were about to reach Panagarh. See, this is a technique how writers start their stories. We don't know who Mriganko Babu is, and what is his suspension also we don't know that. With this, in this abrupt way the story begins. Mriganko Babu's suspensions were confirmed as they were about to reach Panagarh. This means Mriganko Babu had someone else along with him, that's why they is used. And before reaching Panagarh, Mriganko Babu's suspicions, doubts were confirmed. What was the doubt? What was the suspicion that he had in his mind? See, his car ran out of petrol. This is a very interesting phrasal verb. Run out of. To run out of, it means to exhaust or to consume something. For example, we are running out of grocery. It means at home grocery items, the stock is very less now. We have consumed most of it. It is time to buy some new grocery items. We are running out of grocery items. I am running out of money. It means all the money that I had is already spent. So Mriganko Babu found that his car ran out of petrol. It means the petrol that was there in the tank in his car, it is already consumed. This was his fear. This was his suspicion, and now the suspicion has become true. The petrol gauge had not been functioning properly for quite a while. He had pointed this out to his driver Sudhir before they set out this morning. The petrol gauge, Mriganko Babu, the owner of the car, he told his driver Sudhir that the petrol gauge in the car, petrol gauge is the part that displays, that tells you how much petrol is still available in the tank. Mriganko Babu told his driver Sudhir that the petrol gauge of our car is not functioning properly. So the amount that you see is available in the tank is not the true amount. It is not showing the correct amount. So because the petrol gauge is not functioning properly, but Sudhir did not pay attention to it, and the thing is that what the petrol gauge is showing, the amount of petrol available, that is not the actual amount of petrol available. The actual amount of petrol available is less than what the gauge is showing. That is the difficulty, and that was his doubt, and that he told his driver before they started the journey, but the driver did not pay any attention to it. Now, before they could reach Panagarh, their car ran out of petrol. What are you going to do now? Mriganko Babu asked. He asked his driver, what are you going to do now? I'll walk to Panagarh and come back with more petrol, Sudhir replied. Sudhir said, I'll go to Panagarh, I'll walk. Yes, the car will not run anymore. I'll walk and I'll go and then I'll come back with petrol. How far is Panagarh? About 3 miles. That means I must wait here for at least 2.5 hours. It's all your fault. What am I going to do? Have you ever thought of that? Have you thought of that? Mriganko Babu is angry with his driver that you say that it's 3 miles, it means you'll walk 3 miles, you'll purchase petrol, then you will walk another 3 miles when you return, more than 6 miles you will walk, and I'll have to wait here for at least 2.5 hours. This is the difficulty I'll face, this is the pain I'll take, and it is because of your fault only. And did you ever think what will happen if if the car runs out of petrol? You never thought about it. Now it is the difficulty that I'll face. So did you ever think about this kind of situation? Mriganga Babu was an amiable man. Amiable, you might have got it. Yeah, you must have got it. The word amiable, and along with this amicable. Amiable, amicable. They both mean friendly or agreeable, but amiable is used for a person. A person may be amiable, and amicable is used for a situation. We came to an amicable settlement, and he is an amiable man. So Mriganga Babu was an amiable man, a friendly man. He was a very gentle man. And now the thing is that he did not usually snap at his driver or servants. Snap at means to speak irritably, to speak in a very unpleasant way. Mriganga Babu usually did not snap. He did not speak in an unfriendly way with his driver or his servants. But today, the thought of sitting alone in his car for more than 2 hours in the middle of nowhere made him irritable. Today, he found that, yes, I have to wait for more than 2 hours all alone in the middle of the road. And it is all because of this driver. I told him, I warned him in advance, but he did not pay attention to my words. And now I will be suffering. I will be facing difficulty. That's why he has become angry, and that's why he is speaking in some harsh way. Well, you'd better leave. Can we make it back to Calcutta by 8 o'clock? It's now 3:30. Now he's asking his driver. He's telling him, go, better go, leave and go and come back quickly. And he's asking his driver, do you think that we will be able to return to Calcutta by 8 o'clock? And the time now is 3:30. The driver said, oh yes sir, I will certainly be back by 8. Yes, by 8 we will be able to be back. Here is the money for the petrol. Don't make this mistake again. You must never take such a risk on a long journey. Mriganga Babu paid the money to his driver, take the money, and he said, don't make such a mistake in future, and you should not take such a risk in long journeys. So they took the money and left for Panagarh. Mriganga Shekhar Mukhopadhyay was a famous and popular writer. Now the author will tell us in details about Mriganga Babu, what kind of man he is, what he was. Mriganga Shekhar Mukhopadhyay is his full name. We call him Mriganga Babu in the story, but his full name is Mriganga Shekhar Mukhopadhyay. He was a famous and popular writer. A club in Durgapur had invited him to a cultural function in order to felicitate him. Since he is a renowned author, he is a very well-known writer, so a club in Durgapur had invited him to felicitate him. There was a cultural function organized by that club, and they had invited him to felicitate him because he is a well-known author. He could not get a reserved seat on the train, hence his departure by car. He had left for Durgapur quite early in the morning, soon after a cup of tea. He was now on his way back. He was not one to believe in superstition. Okay. So Durgapur was his destination where he went, and now they are on their return journey to Calcutta. He could not get a reserved ticket in a train. That's why he had to travel in a car. So on their return journey, that this thing happened. Now the question is, you will know some other things about his character, about his mind. He was not one to believe in superstitions, and certainly he never consulted the almanac before traveling anywhere. Mriganga Shekhar Mukhopadhyay was not a man of superstition. What is superstition? You all know, believing in some unreal things, believing in some irrational or unreasonable things, false belief. That is called superstition. This man was not such a man. Superstition, for example, if you are walking and you see a cat crossing your way, some people say, oh, your journey is ill-fated, you should not continue this journey, there will be some danger ahead. So you cancel the journey, stop, go back 2 steps, yes, journey is finished, start a new journey. I somewhere got a very interesting line. Someone said, what does it mean when you see a cat crossing your way? The answer was given, it means nothing, but the cat is also going somewhere, that's it. So be positive. The thing is that Mriganga Babu was not a man of superstition, and he never consulted the almanac. What is almanac? Almanac is a book. It is a booklet that carries information about date and about on which day what festival is there. We call it Panjika. That Panjika is almanac. So Meganga Babu was not a man of superstition. There are people who, before going anywhere, they consult the almanac, they look at the almanac and they see whether this particular day is good for me, whether any journey should be undertaken or not. Accordingly, they go or not, or they don't go. So far as Meganga Shankar Mukhopadhyay is concerned, he was not a man of superstition. He did not believe in such things. He never consulted an almanac. But now he see, however, now it did occur to him that if he had bothered to look at the almanac today, it would not be surprising to find that it forbade long journeys. This line is very interesting. Now it did occur to him. He was not a man of superstition. He never consulted an almanac. But after this difficult situation that he is facing today, it did occur to him. Now it did occur to him. It did occur to him. This is very important. Occur, we know, occur means happen. An accident occurred, an accident happened. But occur is also used to mean that, for example, you say, it occurred to me. It means I presumed, I thought, it occurred to me. I got the idea, I got the sense, I felt like that. When you mean such things, you can say, it occurred to me. Here also, it occurred to him. It means an idea came to his mind, he thought like that. And then, instead of saying it occurred to him, the author is saying it did occur to him. This is also another use of do. It did occur to him. This did is called emphatic do in the past form. If you say, I do know him, you say, I know him, that's okay. But if you say, I do know him, it means you are emphasizing that yes, you cannot, you should not say, I don't know him. I do know him. I did see him, it means I am sure, yes, I am emphasizing, I did see him. So it did occur to him, it means it occurred to him, it means the idea came to his mind. What was the idea? That if he had bothered to look at the almanac today, if he had bothered to look, this is another use of bother. If he had bothered to look at the almanac today, it means if he wanted, if he cared, if he just gave some importance to this thing, that yes, let me check the almanac, then it would not be surprising to find that it forbade long journeys. See, he is not a man of superstition. But now what he is saying, that if I had looked at, since it is not my habit to look at almanac, since I don't believe in superstition, so there is no question of me looking at the almanac before taking a long journey. But today he said that if I had consulted an almanac, surprisingly I might have got it written there that yes, today you should not take long journeys. Now the question is, why this? A man who is not a man of superstition, why should he think like this? This means that at certain points of your life, in your life, you may find that situations compel you to think in a way, to act in a way which is quite against your practice or against your habit, against your choice. This is what happened to Mr. Meganga Shankar Mukhopadhyay. He was not a man of superstition, but today's situation compelled him to think like that. So what to do? Sudhir has gone to fetch petrol. It will take more than 2 hours, more than 2.5 hours. This man is he has to kill time. He got out of the car, stretched and lit a cigarette. He got out of the car, stretched. Stretch means sometimes you do after getting up, after you get awake from sleep, or when you feel lethargic, you feel boring, then usually when you get out of a car, for example, you are taking a long journey of 12 hours and then after 4 or 5 hours, the driver of the bus says, yes, half an hour break for taking dinner. You get out of the bus and then you say, that is stretch. He got out of the car, stretched and lit a cigarette. This lit is also important. This lit is in the past form. And what is this? Is base form? Base form is light. When the word light is used as the verb, its past is either lit or lighted. Light, its past is lighted or lit, and past participle is also lit or lighted. So he got out of the car, stretched, and then he lit a cigarette. Then he looked around. Yes, a new place, a quite lonely place. He is exploring, he is looking all around. It was the end of January. All the crops had been removed from the fields. The empty, barren fields stretched far for miles. Again, the word stretch. Earlier we got Ganga Babu stretched, and now where is it used? The empty, barren fields stretched for miles. It means wherever you look, as much as you look, you see there is barren field. It means the products are already harvested. The field is now barren. It is an empty field, and it stretches. It means it expands. You can see only barrenness. You can see only emptiness all around. In the far distance, a small hut could be seen standing next to a tamarind tree. There was no other sign of habitation. Yes, only there is a small hut could be seen at a distance, but there is no other sign of, except this small hut, there is no other sign of habitation. What is habitation? Habitation means human dwelling, residence. There is no such signs that tell you that yes, people live here. There is no home, there is no house except one hut at a distance. There was no other sign of habitation. Still further stood a row of palm trees. If you look beyond, you can see a line of palm trees, and beyond that line of palm trees, there is a dense dark forest. This was the scene that greeted him on one side of the road, on the eastern side, that is. So in the eastern side of the road, this was the scene. See, use the word. This was the scene that greeted him. Did this scene greet Ganga Babu that yes, good morning or good afternoon, you are welcome to this place? No, this is just a way of creating beauty in the writing. It means this was the scene there, this was the scene that he could witness, that he could see. The author is saying this was the scene that greeted him on one side of the road, on the eastern side, that is. On the western side, things were not at all different. Things were not all that different. It means on the western side, things were not exactly same, but it was not that much different, almost same. About 40 feet away from the road was a pond. This is about western side. In the exam, you may find questions. Describe the eastern side of the road. Describe the western side of the road. Such questions come, carrying 4 marks. About 40 feet away from the road was a pond, but it did not have a great deal of water. A great deal of means a huge amount of. It did not have much water. A pond was there. The few trees that were visible were all quite far, except some thorny bushes. There were 2 huts, but no sign of people. In the middle of the field was a scarecrow. Yes, you have got the scarecrow now. In the middle of the field, on the western sside of the road where Ganga Babu was standing, there was a scarecrow. To the north, in the sky, there were clouds, but it was quite sunny where Ganga Babu was standing. So all the whole area is described here. To the north, in the sky, there was cloud, but the spot where Ganga Babu was standing, it was a sunny spot. Although it was winter, Ganga Babu began to feel warm in the sun after a while. So after standing outside his car, he took sunlight and he felt warm. Although it was winter season, still after taking sunlight for a long time, he felt a bit discomfortable. So he returned to the car, took out a detective novel from his bag and began to read it. We'll continue and we'll see what kind of other difficulties, other problems Ganga Babu faces. That will come in the next video. Thank you very much.